All right, here we go with invertebrates part 2. The fifth phylum is phylum Mollusca. These are commonly referred to as mollusks. They have internal organs, they have a mantle, which is an outer body layer, and then they have this thing called a radula, which is a tongue-like structure. Notice that these organisms are getting more and more complex as we go through the phylum. They also have this foot that's used for movement, and it's like a muscle, and it can help them move along. They still have gills for respiration because they're underwater creatures. They do have separate sexes, male and female, and they have bilateral symmetry, which means there's one central line of symmetry that divides this animal in half. Now, this is where we're going to get a little more detailed. The previous phyla, we didn't have to look at their classes, but we are going to look at the classes of mollusks because they are very different, each one of them. So, the first class of mollusks is called gastropoda. And if you take the name of this, it's going to break it down for you. It's called stomach foot. Gastro means stomach. Poda means foot. So these mollusks literally have a foot attached to their stomach that helps them walk. Number 2, we have the classes of the bivalvias, or the bivalves. Bi meaning 2, and valvia being the shells. So these are all of your shelled organisms. These are your yummy, tasty seafood. So these are clams and oysters. And then number 3, we have the cephalopoda, and this means head foot. Cephala means head, poda again means foot. So these creatures have a head and feet. That's it. There's like no middle torso like we have. So here is an example of a gastropoda with the stomach foot. If you look at the snail, you can see that his foot, it goes all the way across his stomach, and he just kind of slimes along the sidewalk. Take a few minutes now, pause the video to write down the information on mollusks. Remember, you've got, this is Roman numeral 5. These are your bullet points, or you can do the alphabet letters. You could be A, B, C, D, E, and so on. Remember that there are 3 kinds of mollusks: gastropods, which are head feet; bivalves, which are two shells; and cephalopods, which are head feet. Here are some more pictures of those, of very common mollusks. You have your clam, chitin, this little whelk, it's like a little creature in a shell. Then you have your squid, and then a nautilus, which is super interesting. They, although they have a shell, they are still cephalopoda because their body design, the soft part of their body, is like that of a squid. It's like a head foot. The 6th phylum is going to be Annelida. And Annelida, or an annelid, means little rings. So these are going to be your segmented worms. They have segmentation and body cavity. They can be anywhere from 1 millimeter to 3 meters. These can be really long. And they also have bilateral symmetry. 2 of the most common ones that we know of would be, at the top, leeches, and then earthworms. Notice if you look really, really close, you can see the segments on their bodies. Here are some other ones. You've got millipedes, centipedes, and some other interesting looking creatures, but these guys can be toxic as well. So go ahead and add this next phylum to your notes. This is phylum 6, and Annelida, which means segmented, little rings. They are hermaphrodites, which means that they have both sexes in one body. So an earthworm would be male and female, and they do have bilateral symmetry, and there are some examples. So pause the video now to get your notes down.